Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Robins Report podcast. We are days away. We are in touching distance. League One football is nearly upon us. We are back with another series, as I mentioned last week. JP's back with me. I'm excited. JP's excited. There's a good feel. It's been a great couple of days for the club. So let's get into it. Lots to talk about. Like I said, very exciting episode. So let's go. Yes, that's right. We are back. The man is back. JP, how you doing, mate?
I'm very well, thanks, Tom. Enjoyed that little intro there. Everything's improved. The team's gone up a level. You've taken it up a level. Everything's moving up in the world. So, yeah, it's been 12 years, hasn't it? We've waited for this. So, League One. So, I'm very much looking forward to being back in. You know, we've seen the unbelievable list of teams that Cheltenham have got to look forward to. So, anyone who isn't excited about it, who's associated with Cheltenham, you know, they should. I just think. You can't help but be excited by the fixture list, mouth-watering trips. It is going to be challenging, but I think it's going to be a great test. I'm looking forward to seeing how such a team that did so well last season can handle the step up with a few additions as well.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. I think today is probably the first day. Obviously, a lot has happened today, but I just found myself smiling all day because we're just getting so close, and then getting into this today, it's just such a good feeling. It's an amazing feeling. It's been a long summer. I don't know about how your summer's been, but it's been a long summer. I've been looking forward to getting back to it. And like I said, we're days away now, mate. It's unbelievable, isn't it? We was talking before we came on. You're looking at that fixture list. You're looking at the teams we're going to play. You're looking at how this whole next, God knows how many months of ups and downs we're going to have. It's just going to be amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. And add that into the fact that fans haven't really been. I know we've had friendlies and we had a couple of games in the middle of the season where fans were allowed back, but proper league game, packed full of fans. It'll be good on Saturday against Crewe, but very excited about the prospect of the Wycombe game with seeing the Johnny Rock Stadium, hopefully, pretty full on the day. So it's very exciting to have the fans back in the new league, new teams to play. New adventure for the club. They've already achieved a lot. Let's see what they can do now in League One.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to see what these boys can do. I've got so much faith in this team. It's absolutely unbelievable. And obviously, I went a bit early, but as you can see, first topic of the day, as we always do. If you're new to the pod, this is how we start. Talk a little bit about the news coming out of camp first, then we'll roll through. Preview games, review games when we've played, and that's how we go. So, JP, first off, I don't think we can really start the pod any other way. We've all been waiting so long. Well, it feels so long. It would be if you're on Cheltenham Twitter. They're signing to come in, and all of a sudden, 2 in 1 day. I mean, let's talk about the first one first and foremost. A man that's very, very familiar. Callum Wright back to the end of the season, back on loan. He seems very happy. I mean, I didn't know if you've seen his Instagram little post a few days earlier, so it seemed that he was something he was wanting. And finally, it's come through. I don't really know what we can say, well, I haven't already said about him. How are you excited about the prospect of seeing Callum Wright back in a championship in another level?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things about Callum Wright is that he did improve a lot from January to the end of the season. I think he progressed. I think it's what he needed. He needed that senior first team men's football experience. Unbelievable talent, scores cracking goals, and I think Cheltenham could have maybe looked at bringing Finn Azaz back. I thought Finn did quite well last season. I think the reason Callum kept him out of the team for a lot of the second half of last season is because of that goal threat. He's so dangerous around the box. Obviously scored some spectacular goals. 4 goals in 12 starts is pretty good, isn't it, for an attacking midfielder? And I think generally about transfers this season, I think it has been a frustrating one in terms of missing out on some players. But I think the greatest challenge is really keeping the team that did so well last season together. Obviously, Callum was a big part of that. None of the big hitters have gone. Obviously, we've lost some of the loan players, Josh Griffiths, but Owen Evans, I think, is a good replacement, and Scott Flinders will be up there as well. But I think the core of the team, I was worried that having had such a good season, the likes of Will Boyle, Alfie May, there was a bit of interest in maybe one or two others. But I think if Michael Duff had been offered the chance to keep the players he has done, bring Callum Wright back, obviously there is more to come in terms of signings. But I think that don't underestimate how important it is to keep what was there last season. And it reminds me a bit of a John Ward summer. Put the emphasis on keeping the good things you've got. I'm not saying that Cheltenham haven't missed out on signings, but Callum Wright and the other lad who we're going to talk about in a minute, they're both players that Cheltenham have had their eye on throughout the summer. So they haven't gone for Callum Wright because they missed out on someone else. They haven't gone for Tyler Perry because they missed out on someone else. So they've wanted those two all along. They've bided their time. They've waited for the Premier League clubs to give the nod, and they're both coming in. So I think those two really pleasing bits of business, but there is definitely more to come. Callum Wright, everyone who watched the games on iFollow last season will have seen what a talent he is. And I'm really pleased now that people will get to see him in the flesh in a Cheltenham shirt in League One, because I think he looked like he belonged there.
Yeah, definitely. I'm absolutely buzzing at the thought of being able to see him live. I mean, he was such a great player. So what impressed me a lot about him, he's so young, yet he's so composed, and he plays his game very well, and he hardly gets phased with anything. We've seen it time and time again last season. He gets forward rapidly. He picks passes that are brilliant. He's so comfortable on the ball, and obviously that goal against Tranmere, I don't think we'll forget about that one anytime soon. But I think that's what impressed me the most about him, and I think that's why I was so happy to see him come back. And I think, like you said, his loan, he came in January, didn't he? So it was a short loan really from last season. I always thought to myself in the summer, there's a little bit of hope that let's get him back and let's get him a full season, because there's no reason for him not to come back, in my opinion. We've gone up a level. He was comfortable here. He fit so well with the team. It was perfect. And like I said, he kept Finners out mainly because he just performed week in, week out. So I'm excited to see what he can do in a full season in the next level, because I think it's what he needs. I think he can go up through the levels, and it's perfect for both sides, really, this deal.
Yeah, I think Taylor Perry is a slightly different type of. I think they'll be vying for the same spot. I think because I think Serkin will start and Connor Thomas will start, but it's great to have the two options again, like with Callum Wright and Finners last season. I think Taylor Perry is more of a technical little passer, set piece specialist. But Callum Wright is a real got a lot of flair about his game, and he is capable, as we've seen and we've discussed before, he's capable of the spectacular. So I think they're two different players, two different types of players, which Michael Duff will want in that attacking central role. And I think that midfield is pretty much sorted now, I think. So I think there's good options, both in terms of deep line midfielders, box to box, and central attacking midfielders, which I think these two will both be vying for that one spot in behind the front too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I got to be honest, I didn't really know much about Taylor Perry. And it isn't. Obviously, like you mentioned, the club's had an eye on him for a while, so they've obviously done extensive research. So if you are checking out the Robins Report Twitter, if you're a follower, make sure you are following if you're not. I just simply put out a tweet saying, Wolves fans, talk to me. What can we expect from this young man? And all the feedback I got was phenomenal. I mean, shout out to Wolves Fancast. They were fantastic. Little video, and then obviously spoke a little bit about what he's about. From what I could gather, he's an attacking player, loves attacking, very comfortable on the ball, can pick a pass, pretty much very similar to Callum Wright. I think they're both similar players from what I could see and what I was told. And I think one thing that complimented the young man was the words were, think of a young James Maddison. I mean, if you could be anything like James Maddison for us, that's brilliant. But yeah, I didn't really know much about him, but having did a little bit of research, and I know what people say, you can't really go much off YouTube highlights because they're not going to put up bad highlights, are they? Let's be honest. Yeah. But from what I saw, I was mightily impressed, and he looks like he's got good eye for goal as well.
Yeah, I think the fact that he's been the reason why Cheltenham had to wait until 2 days before the season starts is because he's been with Wolves all the pre-season, the first team. So he did really well in Premier League 2. Cheltenham haven't signed many players that have got Europa League experience. This lad has. He's played in the Europa League. He's played in the EFL Cup, EFL Trophy for Wolves. they rate him very highly. Now, I first sort of got wind of the fact that Cheltenham were interested in him at the Kidderminster friendly. And they've obviously waited and waited and waited. Spoke to Jerry Gill today. Jerry had him in the Wolves youth setup when he was a scholar. Rates him very highly. Like you said, everyone seems to speak very highly of him. He hasn't had a senior loan yet. So this is a big step for him. And I think it's a good example of maybe Cheltenham wouldn't have got him necessarily if they were still in League Two. So I think he is a level above some of the players that would be going on loan to League Two. I think the League One promotion definitely would help get Callum Wright back because they're sending him back to a club at a higher level. Didn't quite happen with Josh Griffiths, but Owen Evans, I think, has solved that problem. And I think Perry is in the same mould. I think they see him, he needs the challenge of League One because he's not that far off it. He was with them and impressing them all the way through pre-season, which is another good sign. He isn't one that they just binned off on day one, go out and find a club. They kept him close to it. The new manager had a good look at him. Now they obviously watch him closely for Cheltenham, and it could be a big year for him in terms of his career development.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that stood out to me as well, what the Wolves fans saying, they think he could go championship level. Well, if that's the case, this is a perfect opportunity for him to showcase it in a sense, because I know he said, I think it was a couple of days ago, he didn't want to leave on loan. He was happy to stay there and fight. But I think Wolves have obviously said, look, go out, get yourself some experience, show us what you're about, and prove why you believe you want to be here. And I think it's great. So, I think I'm looking forward to seeing what he can bring. And obviously, like we said, Cal, it's been a good day. It really has been a good day for Cheltenham, signings-wise. You did mention it's not over. There's still stuff to be done. I think there still is as well. Look, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here when I say it. It's obvious. We're in the market for 2 strikers, at least. I've heard 2 strikers. The left-back situation is still ongoing. I'd be interested to see, actually, if he goes with that still, because I think there's a couple of lone spots left, and that's us maxed out. But I think that's what we're looking at now. And I tweeted it earlier, get 2 strikers in. I think we're pretty much set, aren't we, really, what we needed to cover.
Yeah, I can see why Michael Duff wants to bring a left wing back in to push Chris Hussey, but I don't worry about that area of the pitch because I think Lewis Freestone can do a good job there if needed. Yeah. And I think he's come on as well, albeit he's more of a left side centre half. But I think Hussey has been so consistent over the last few years. I think Michael Duff, more than anything else, wants to keep him on his toes because it might sound ridiculous, but I think at times last year it was a bit almost too easy for him. He knew he was going to play. He knew he was miles ahead of anyone else in the division in that position. So I think that's more of somebody to challenge him a little bit, make him keep on his toes. But knowing the character that he is, I don't think he really is the type to sort of come off it anyway. So I don't worry about the left back position, but I do still think they want to bring in another left-sided defender. And in terms of more of a wing, more of an attacking player than a Lewis Freestone who will cover Will Boyle and can cover Chris Hussey as well. Absolutely agree about the forwards. There will be, I think, 2 coming in. I think there's still money in the budget to sign a decent striker or 2. So if pretty much you summed it up well, Tom, I think there will be 3 more. I think if I had to guess, there'll be 2 forwards, 1 left wing back. Michael Duff's been pretty open about that, hasn't he? That the areas that he wants to strengthen. I can't really see another midfielder coming in now. With Barker's coming in, being loaned out, Perry and Wright in, Thomas, Chapman, who's done well in pre-season as well, of course. Chapman will challenge for one of those other roles, but it's good to have that attacking talent in there now, the creativity, the goal threat. So I think that area of the pitch is looking good now. Yeah,
definitely. Actually, you mentioned Barkers. I don't want to not mention him because I thought I was impressive in pre-season. I thought he'd done quite well. There's a lot of room for potential there. And obviously, Michael Duff, Mickey Moore, they've obviously seen something that they like. A lot of people's reaction to it was, I wouldn't say negative, but there was a lot of, what's the point getting him in if you're going to loan him straight back out? I think at that point we didn't have Wright, we didn't have Perry come in. What's your view of that situation? Because mine is like, it's a risk-free move, really, because you're going to loan him out. He's going to go and get some time. There's obviously potential, like I said. He could improve, come back and find himself in a much better shape than he would be sat on the bench. That was my opinion on it. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, my thoughts are he must have something because of what he's shown in pre-season, the 2 games that he played. And also, he was on trial at Leicester, wasn't he, a couple of years ago? Played a game for their 23s against Liverpool. Cheltenham have seen something in him, but I think the big thing for him is he's very different to anything else in the squad. last season Cheltenham won the league without having a supposed ball-winning midfielder. I mean, Thomas can tackle, but he's more of a footballer, isn't he, than somebody who goes around flying into challenges. And so Thomas is a different type of deep line midfielder, but they brought Bonds in last summer to add that bit of bite. Obviously, Bonds got his injury. He's now back. He's not going to be 100% fit in terms of match fit straight away, but hopefully he can be eased back into it. But I still think Barker's is a bit different. He's got the height. He's got the physicality. He was definitely putting himself about at Hereford. Obviously, he's trying to impress, earn himself a contract. I think he got a yellow card against Hereford. Obviously, Hereford had already a man sent off by that time. It wasn't a particularly dirty game, but he did fly into some challenges. He's big, he's strong, and Michael Duff has been quite impressed with the way that he's used the ball. So I wouldn't say that he was going to go straight into Cheltenham Town starting 11. That's exactly why they've loaned him out to continue his development. I think Cheltenham have got a good relationship with Alf Church. They've sent players on loan there before. They've obviously well connected in the Midlands with the staff that Cheltenham have got. So I think it does seem strange when you sign a player on a 1 year and then straight away he's going back. But Michael Duff said they're going to try and accelerate his development. I think more than anything else, he'll have to catch up a little bit fitness-wise because obviously he hasn't really played full-time football. So he needs to probably get fitter, and he's not going to get that without playing games. So go and play games for Alf Church at quite a decent standard of non-league football. You know, it shouldn't be underestimated. It's a good standard, Southern Prem, and hopefully he can come back and still play a part. But it's probably I've thought for a lot of this pre-season that Cheltenham need to be a little bit more creative with their recruitment. So they've probably been going for the right players. They just can't afford them because some of them have had better offers. That's fine. You can't really do anything about that, can you? But I think Cheltenham sometimes need to look outside the box like they have in the past. Issa is probably one of the best examples. Now, you can't always pluck an Issa out of Greenwich Borough, but give people a chance. You know, you never know what they might turn into if you give them the right coaching, give them the right experience. So I think it's quite an interesting one. Callum Wright's the opposite, isn't it? We know exactly what he can do. We've seen it firsthand. Barker's, they've obviously seen something in him. I trust Michael Duff's judgment on that. There was a lot of players who did look at in pre-season they didn't offer contracts to that I thought did all right. So they must see something in this lad, and I think he's a little bit different. And I don't want to sort of put him in the same bracket as Ince just because he's a deep line midfielder with height. But I think it's been quite obvious for a while they've wanted that sort of dog is I think probably the word. That dog in midfield that will do the dirty work. That Bonds can come back and do that, and obviously he's got quality as well. But I think they can't rush him in. So I think Barker's maybe something different to what they've got. Different types of players that might be needed for different types of games. Yeah,
definitely. And good job you mentioned Bonds. Actually, it's good to see him back, isn't it? Hopefully he can stay fit. It was sad to see him really have his season cut short last year. Obviously we mentioned Owen Evans earlier on, another solid addition. I mean, it's always going to be hard to replace a goalkeeper like Josh Griffiths. He was class, wasn't he, last year? Very catalyst in what we achieved as a team. But we know Evans. We've seen him, haven't we? Look what he did. I don't want to go on about Northampton, but he did too much. It's a sore subject still, but he performed well there, saved the penalty, didn't he? And I thought when he come back, I was happy with that. I was very happy with that. Obviously, a bit disappointed it wasn't Griffiths coming back because I thought there was a very good chance, similar to Callum Wright. But, two other players in. So what's that now? We've got 5 in through the door, a couple more to come. It's exciting times, JP, isn't it? And the season's not even started yet.
Yeah, I think Evans is. If you judge Evans on when he came in January to the playoffs, he did very well, and he's very good with his feet. Flinders will push him though. I don't think Michael Duff's just saying that. I think Evans will start as number 1, but I think Flinders will be pushing him all the way. Flinders had to be patient last season. He's got his mojo back, he said, during pre-season. And I don't think we're going to have a scenario where Evans starts a few games. If he makes one mistake, Flinders is going to be in. But I think they're both number 1s, if you see what I mean. I think they're both.
Yeah.
You could quite easily pick either of them and they'd be fine. But Evans, his distribution is outstanding. And I think he's done really well in pre-season. If you look at this, he's been given the squad number 1. He's had more minutes in pre-season, more 90 minutes in pre-season than Scott Flinders. I think it's pretty obvious that he's going to start at Crewe, but I think it's going to be a good little battle between them.
Yeah, I think so. And I wonder if the decision had already been made, because I remember after the Coventry game, you spoke to Michael Duff, and he was saying it's a very close one to call, and it is in that sense because, like you said, they're both number ones. Either one you go for, I'm happy, but I think it probably will be. I think it will be Owen, just because. Although Flinders had he's a great pre-season as well, hasn't he? That's the thing. But I think it will be Evans.
Yeah,
I think it will be Evans.
There's a lot of clubs in the lower leagues that would love to have Scott Flinders in their squad as number one. So for Cheltenham to have Evans and Flinders, Max Harris obviously will go out on loan. He doesn't need to be sat on the bench not getting any football. He'll get the top quality training. He will go out and play some games at a Southern League club, and they can see how he develops. But I know they rate him, they like him. He's progressed in the year that he's been at the club. Flinders and Evans can battle it out. And as you mentioned Bonds, I mean, he was starting to look good before he got the injury, and they obviously confident with the injury. They're giving him a 2-year contract. They wouldn't have given out a 2-year deal if they're worried about his knee. It was a bad one, but he's worked hard. He's come back bigger and stronger. And I think you could see in little bits against Hereford and Walsall, in his run-outs, that would be a massive moment for him, wouldn't it? Just to get back on the pitch, first time since last October. And he is a good player who comes highly recommended from Grant McCann. He did well. He obviously knows all the players, and again, it's another good character to have around the place. The last thing that they want to do is upset it by bringing the wrong type of character. Evans, Bonds, Wright, character-wise, they're second to none, and they wouldn't have brought in the other two if they weren't absolutely sure about done their research on the characters of the lads. So the one thing that they don't want to upset is that harmony in the squad. Yeah,
no, definitely spot on. Absolutely nail on the head, and I couldn't agree more. Obviously, before we do, we're going to look into the Crewe game because I'm so itching to talk about some proper football. I can't wait. Obviously, Michael Duff and friend of the pod, I must say, Will Boyle, spoke to the media today. You were a part of that. What did you take from that?
I was quite interested to see what Michael Duff would say about the MK Dons link because, I don't want to be seen to be trying to engineer him a move away, but I think it's something that we're going to have to get used to at Cheltenham is every time a job comes up now, because of the job he's done, he's going to be linked with it. It's quite interesting that he said he had it all when he was a player. There was so much speculation when he was at Cheltenham as a player that he was going to go on to a bigger club. Loads of clubs looking at him, including Liverpool at one point. He ended up going to Burnley a lot later than everyone thought, but I think everyone knew he would get there eventually. Now, I don't think he will jump at the first job that comes up, but he's going to be up there in the odds now. If lower championship, top League One jobs come up, nobody can fail to be impressed by what he's done at Cheltenham. So that was interesting. Another interesting thing is there's been some ups and downs during pre-season with injury and availability and COVID, but I think Cheltenham will go to Crewe with everyone in the squad available. Although we know Elliot Bonds isn't going to start the game, he might go on the bench, or he might, he's not far off it anyway in terms of he is ready to go. He's just not match fit, but everyone's available. So Ben Tozer and Matty Blair have gone back in. Connor Thomas has got over his injury. Ellis Chapman's back from the injury he had early on in pre-season. Will Boyle's come back strong after his knee injury. He's played so well in pre-season. It's easy to forget how much of last season he missed, but he's just come back as if he was never away. Obviously, excellent professional anyway, Will Boyle. So I think he was always going to be up there in the fitness ranks. So that stood out for me. That's been well timed, hasn't it? Everyone being ready for the first game. The fact that Cheltenham have perhaps battled against the perception of the club from the outside was quite interesting. So trying to persuade people to come to Cheltenham is difficult. When you get them in the door, they love it and they want to stay. So that's why I think it hasn't all been down to money. Now, I know that some of the signings have just been offered more money elsewhere, but some of it has been maybe down to maybe some people think, Cheltenham are going to struggle in League One. I don't want to go there. Or Cheltenham are a tiny club in League Two. Why would I go to them in League One? I think that's what Michael Duff was talking about this morning, is that perception of the club as a small club. But he does also use that as a positive. He loves to create that underdog mentality in League Two, and he'll definitely be doing it in League One. So he's not going to come out, he says, he's not going to come out when we lose a game, he said, and say we've got the smallest budget in the division, so that's why we lost. There's nothing he can do about it. There's no point in moaning about it. Would we rather be in the National League and be one of the bigger clubs, or would we rather be in League One and be one of the smaller clubs? I think everyone would say the same thing, wouldn't they? You've got to challenge yourself against the likes of Sunderland, Portsmouth, Ipswich. It's just a brilliant list of clubs to play against, and I just think they're gonna upset a few people this season because they're going to be well organised, fit as anything. They've been so fit during pre-season. That's been one of the features of the pre-season. It's all designed for really fitness and getting used to playing with each other, and obviously some tactics, but the fitness levels are outstanding. So it was an interesting one. Always good to chat to Will Boyle, but as always, Michael Duff spoke well. It was interesting, and I think Boyle. There's been no formal bids for Boyle, but there was definitely interest. There was definitely interest in Alfie May, but as I said earlier, Tom, I think just keeping everyone at the ground, all the permanent players, is a massive success, and that shouldn't be underestimated. Although it's been frustrating, and everyone would like to have seen a few more strikers come in, there's a very, very good squad in place. Just needs a little bit more depth.
Yeah, definitely. I say that all the time. The quality of this squad is undeniable. You can't say it's not quality. It's so talent-wise, it's absolutely stacked, and I don't think you can take that away from the lads. And I'm not just saying this because it's my club, etc., etc. But I honestly believe, you mentioned about how Michael Duff's saying about getting players in small club Cheltenham. I honestly believe as well that Michael Duff himself, as well as the players, they're actually changing that perception of Cheltenham Town. In my opinion, I think so. So you say about Shaw getting people in and, how it all falls at the right time. You mentioned pre-season. I thought about the fitness. I thought there's a lot of intensity there, especially towards the last couple of games. I thought the intensity was incredible. Like you mentioned, Hereford, they were 10 down to 10 men after 20 minutes. Referee, ridiculous decision. They sit back and go, right, all right, we're gonna stroll this. It was intensity, and I've never seen that before. And that shows quality in this team of the fact of whether it's a friendly or it's a big game against one of these big teams we're going to come up against, we are going to come in there, give you our absolute best, and we know on our day we can match you man for man.
Yeah. I think people always say you can't read too much into pre-season results, but you'd rather be winning them all but one than losing them all but one, wouldn't you?
Oh,
so
definitely.
The Birmingham game was, Birmingham put a strong team out. Coventry, I think, was pleasing. Williams getting the goals. They did have, I think, a bit of a COVID situation in the squad, Coventry, but then so did Cheltenham have players missing who would have been playing if it was full strength. So I think that there's less players in the squad now being carried. I think there's a couple of development lads. You could probably put Grant Horton in that bracket still, second year pro, and definitely Callum Ebanks as a development player. But I think virtually all of them are ready to start. Whereas I think in the past, there's always been a handful of players that you think they might come good, but at the moment you'd be worried if they were chucked in, week out. But I think Lloydie is ready now. I think Ellis Chapman is ready now. I think both the goalkeepers, Max is another one you could put in the development group. Obviously, he's going to go out on loan, but I think the majority of the players are pickable in a League One game, and you wouldn't be worried. And I think that, again, the strength of what is in place is very good. And obviously, everyone knows there needs to be a couple more numbers in there just to add that depth. But I think any 11, and we'll probably talk about what the team's going to be on Saturday later on, but any 11 that Michael Duff picks, it's going to be everyone's going to know what their job is. Everyone's going to be super fit, and everyone's going to be ultra competitive, giving it the best for the cause. And that does give you half a chance. And that's why it reminds me a little bit of a Wardy summer, where the emphasis on looking after the great assets you've got rather than worrying too much about what you haven't got. Get the most out of the players you've got. And he was so steady that first season in League One, first season of the last spell in League One. Wardy's sort of steadiness and composure and his temperament is why Cheltenham stayed up and eventually finished 17th. Didn't splash out on any big name signings. I think Paul Connor came in January sort of as a replacement for Steve Guinan, and that was it. And there was a few good loans, but he didn't overhaul the squad because Cheltenham had gone up a division. He just got the best out of the lads that got them there and worked out who could step up, and most of them stepped up very well.
Yeah. And up until the point, up until the point Kay left, I think it was a case of what I'm going to say about, obviously I'm going to wrap it up on this summer and that. I think our best business then is the same as it has been this summer. We've kept the core of the team and all the fundamentals haven't changed.
Yeah, exactly right. And another thing that Michael Duff said this morning, if he had 8 players and he was trying to cobble together 15 more before the season started, that's when you need to get them in early.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Johnson needed to get his in early in 2015 because he was starting from scratch. You can't sign 11 players in the last week of the season and expect to do well. But this team didn't need a huge amount of surgery, just needed a few tweaks here and there. And I think it's quite exciting. And also, crucially, the fans can identify with these lads. The fans have had Will Boyle for 4.5 years, Scott Flinders for 4 years. Some of these lads now, Hussey, coming into his 4th year, they can recognise the players, build up a rapport with the players, especially now they're coming back into the grounds. But when players are coming and going every few minutes, it's very difficult to get them to buy in, and also for the fans to get them to buy in. So definitely what Cheltenham need to do more of is keep the good ones.
Yeah, definitely. Keep the good ones. I don't think there's any bad ones to get rid of either, which I think's obviously a bigger bonus as well. But let's wrap it up on that one. And of course, we mentioned it. This is exciting now. Saturday, it all gets underway. I mean, JP, how excited are you at the prospect of following this team up and down the country once again, alongside the fans this time, in League One again? It's been so long since we've been here, and now it's just days away.
Yeah, I've got the buzz, I've got the excitement, I've got the adrenaline. I did enjoy last season, of course I did, watching Cheltenham win the league. But every single game had a tinge, apart from the Exeter game probably, and the Bolton game. Every single game had a tinge of disappointment as we were making our way to the ground, thinking there's nobody there. It feels at times like an under-23s game or a pre-season friendly or a behind closed doors game. Well, it was a behind closed doors game, and the players had to get used to it, and they kept producing performances. But it's, I think, the best possible scenario when you're welcoming fans back when they've been so frustrated and haven't been able to come for more than a year is to welcome them back to a new division. So League One, new grounds, new places to go. Friendships will be, reunited after maybe not seeing each other for a long time since March 2020 now. So Crewe's a good one to start with, I think, because they've gone up and they're a shining example, I think, to Cheltenham, aren't they, Crewe? The way they do things, the way they play, the way they produce players. They're the envy of many clubs in the country. David Artell was at the game last weekend against Walsall, sat at the back of the stand taking notes. What a brilliant job he's done. Absolutely superb. And they've gone up and they've been pretty mid-table, solid, not struggled. We've seen a couple of teams come straight back down again, but Crewe did well. So it's a good one. I think the fact that Cheltenham edged them out in the Cup will psychologically maybe give Cheltenham that belief. If Cheltenham went to Sunderland away on the first day and lost 6-0, would that be bad because it would bring home just how big a step up it is? Or would you just say, well, it's Sunderland, they're not one of the teams we're realistically trying to finish above if we want to do well in this league? But I think Crewe are a good it's a good yardstick really to see where Cheltenham are, because they've gone up from League One 12 months ago and they've seemed to have done quite well. They seem to have thrived on it. They've lost a few of their key men, haven't they, that have got moves?
Yeah.
And that's another thing that Michael
spoke about.
Yeah. So they've lost a few, but they always seem to bring more and more through, and they've got some experienced heads in there as well with all the young lads. So I always enjoy watching Crewe, always enjoy going to Crewe. It's a good one to start with. Then we've got the Rovers game in the Cup, and then obviously Wickham. We could play a Wickham team that were in the Championship last year, that a lot of people fancy to be up there again. Although traditionally they were never a massive club in League One, were they?
Not really, no. I mean, them getting to the Championship was almost like us winning League Two last year, wasn't it? It was just wasn't expected, really. It came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, you mentioned about Crewe there.
Yeah.
I was on the EFL show with Gab Sutton last night, and I was on with a Crewe fan. He was saying about how they're very similar to us and we're similar to them in the fact that they haven't got the biggest budget, but they've sort of lived off selling players, and they've lost a few and they've bought a few. But what he did say was, and I thought this is very comparison to what Michael Duff's done at Cheltenham, and the fact of Artel's gone in there and he's installed a certain way of how he wants his players to play, and he just gets the best out of them. So I think, like you said, yardstick, this is perfect. This is our matchup now on Saturday to see, right, where are we at? We're away from home, in the deep end, away from home, first game back in League One against a decent team that's, shown stability last season of being in there. And yes, they've lost a few key players. They've brought a few in, and this is who we're up against. What can we do? And I think that's a perfect way to start on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think the first 2 games in the league are against 2 clubs that all lower league clubs should aspire to be like, really, because Wycombe were non-league in the 90s, got themselves into the Football League. They've stayed there ever since. They've never gone back down again. But apart from them, Cheltenham are probably up there in terms of traditional non-league club, getting themselves and establishing themselves in the Football League. I think Wycombe are probably one of the best, if not the best. So Crewe are probably regarded as the best in terms of producing their own players and sending them on and running a sustainable business that way. They've so many they've sold on, including Luke Varney, aren't there, over the years. We could be here all day talking about the players that Crewe have produced, but they definitely do a lot of things well, and it's a good one to start with, just to see where they are, see how the 4-3-3 of Crewe gets on against the 3-5-2 of Cheltenham.
Yeah, although I think Michael definitely did that today, isn't it? He's not saying he can guarantee what they're going to do, but he knows them very well. We've matched up. Yeah. Obviously, you mentioned the FA Cup game. He expects them to be the team under Artile that we saw then. And it's a funny one because Crewe's not a good place for me. Obviously, been once, didn't really go very well. Saw 1 minute of the game, got kicked out. We won't talk about it, but I won't be there again Saturday. Not because of that reason, just because I'm on the daddy daycare duty for the last time of this season before I get back into it. Obviously, you'll be there. You'll be going. What are you expecting this game to go like?
I think it brings back memories of previous games there. You know, Cheltenham winning the FA Cup under Gary Johnson. That was probably one of the best performances Cheltenham had in the Football League under Gary Johnson, albeit in an FA Cup game. That was an excellent night up there. I remember Holman banging one in. Brings back bad memories of losing 8-1 under Mark Yates up there.
That was 10 years ago this year, wasn't it?
Yeah. Crewe, Michael Duff will remember getting sent off against Crewe in 2002-03, which was Cheltenham's first ever season in League One. He got sent off in a home game against Crewe. Neil Howarth got sent off and Cheltenham lost 4-0. Shane Duff made his debut that day from the bench, got sent on 9 men against Crewe, who had, I think, Dean Ashton and Rob Holsworth. One of them played up front. They had an unbelievable squad.
Ashton Aldworth, up front,
Yeah. So a lot of, in terms of, you look down the League One table at teams Cheltenham played against, Cheltenham never played some of the teams. So they haven't played Ipswich since Southern League days, I think in the 30s. They've only ever played Sunderland in the Cup. But there are some very familiar teams in there. So Crewe, Wycombe, Plymouth, Lincoln, that Cheltenham have played many, many times over the last couple of decades. So that is renewing acquaintances with an old foe. And I think Crewe, we've given them a lot of praise for what they've done, but they're in the group of clubs that Cheltenham will be trying to clamber above, or at least be close to, because there are the ex-Premier League boys, the big boys that you expect to be up at the top, and there's a long list of those. But there are a lot of teams that Cheltenham have played over the years in League Two many times. So those are the ones that they'll be, be interested to see where they are. In terms of how I see the game going, I think it'll be a good football game. Both teams keep it on the deck, apart from the long throws. I think you're bound to see some toes and missiles, but I think it'll be an entertaining game. So? In terms of neat passing football, but then Crewe are going to have to deal with the long throw as well. But Artell will know all about that. They'll know Cheltenham pretty well as Cheltenham know them pretty well. So having played them in the league 2 years ago in the FA Cup last year, it won't feel like, for example, if Cheltenham had played against Ipswich on the opening day or Charlton on the opening day, it'll feel more like a familiar foe.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think Duff and Artell, as far as I know, have got a lot of time for each other, a lot of respect for each other. I think Artell's another one that probably should be, in the running for some of these jobs that come up. You don't tend to see him, do you, as much? But the job he's done at Crewe, his first management job, I think, having captained Crewe and done very well as a player at Crewe, he's another one that the job he's done there. You think, will he get a move? Will he get a bigger club? Because he's done a very good job there. So it's two very good, relatively young. Well, Artell's I think quite a bit younger than Michael, but two very good, sort of up and coming managers that could have a very bright future ahead. So it's going to be an interesting one. And 4-3-3 can cause problems for a 3-5-2. But Michael Duff will have his own ways of stopping that happening. So it'll be an interesting one tactically as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm expecting this one to be a very, very tactical battle. I think, like you said, two young managers know how they want their teams to play. They drill their system. I think it's going to be a case of who blinks first, to be honest with you. Obviously, I'm hoping it's not Cheltenham. But yeah, it's going to be a very tactical battle. I think it's going to be a tight one as well, to be honest. I think, like you mentioned, we've said it so many times now, Artel's done a great job there. I think when he took over there, they were in a bit of a descent, Crewe. They're in a bit of a mess. He's gone in there, steadied the ship, and he's got them playing very, very well. Pretty much, basically, again, like I say, just like what Michael Duff's done for Cheltenham, isn't he? It's like almost like a mirror image.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need to be. We need to be that type of Crewe this season, because they've pulled off some great results. I looked at their season last year. They picked up some big results when they needed. So that's why they were like, didn't amaze teams, but they got through it. They stayed in the league comfortably. And I think that's what we should be looking at. I think Saturday, like I said, you mentioned it, it's a chance to see where we're at. And I think it's a perfect start. And I think, like I said, tactical battle. Of course, I'm going to ask for a prediction. I think we do this. I think we get this. I think this will be the first win back in League One. I think if there's any, like you said earlier, you got to go away to Sunderland and get pumped 6-0, which I don't think we will when we do go there anyway. But it doesn't really, doesn't really say or do much. But I think this would be the one where people have. I don't really look into previews too much, season previews, because there's been so many of them. But I've had a couple of eyes on some, and there's ones that are giving us no chance. I think this would be the one where we go, bang, this is it. Cheltenham back at League One. This is who we are. This is how we play. You deal with us. We're not dealing with you. And I think that's what it's going to be like. So I'm going to go with this one. I was thinking earlier, I was going to go score draw. However, I think this will be our first win in League One. I'm going 2-1 Cheltenham.
It's interesting about season previews, because I've had a lot of people asking me where I think Cheltenham are going to finish or who I think is going to win the league. And really, you can't really do it until you finish your business, can you? So
no. The
team that people thought might be playing for Cheltenham a few weeks ago will have changed already with the signings that are coming, and there will be more to come. But I think, as it stands, I think Cheltenham are going to hold their own. And I think I agree. And it's a bold prediction, isn't it, to predict an away win on the opening day of the season in a new division.
It is.
So if you look back at previous seasons in League One, Cheltenham beat Swansea on the opening day. I think it was on this day in 2006. That unbelievable result of Swansea. Following year, beat Gillingham at home, 1-0, Stephen Gillespie. First season ever in League One, it was a 2-0 defeat by Wigan on the opening day. But I think with the good feeling around the camp, the unity, the determination that these lads will want to show, well, we don't need to be replaced. I'm good enough to do it in this division. And some of them have done it. Obviously, some of them have done it before at this division, and we know that they're not going to struggle. So I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to go 2-1 Cheltenham, off to a good start, get some points on the board, and immediately take some of the pressure off, doesn't it? Because if you're waiting for that first win after promotion, the doubts might start to creep in with some people. But I don't think Michael Duff will let that affect him. But I think points on the board early would just settle everyone down and think, we belong, or we can hold our own here. So I'm going to go 2-1 Cheltenham win. Everyone available, excited, the new signings that come in today. But it's going to be interesting to see what team he goes with.
It is, and it's funny you mention it. I was going to say to you, in terms of starting 11, mine did change today. It has changed. Up until today, it didn't. It was fine. I had a pretty good idea of who I'd have gone with, and it was, I still would have said Cheltenham win, even though I was contemplating, like I said, a draw. Only because I don't think a draw would be the end of the world. Look, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But starting 11, what are you thinking? I know we obviously spoke about Owen Evans in goal. I think the back five pretty much picks itself, doesn't it?
I think there's one decision to make in the back five, and that's, is there room for Sean Long in there, or is it going to be Blair Ragland, Tozer Boyle and Hussey? But obviously Tozer is a little bit down on minutes, but I can't see him being left out. So there might be a bit of a decision between Raglan and Long. I can't see at the moment Long, although he's been excellent in pre-season, I can't see him keeping Blair or Raglan out, but that is a tough one. I don't think Longy is far away. And then in midfield, I think you can guarantee Thomas, you can guarantee Circum. I think you can guarantee Callum Wright now.
Yeah.
And then I think the front two, as much as I rate George Lloyd, I think looking at the goal scoring in pre-season and the partnerships in pre-season, it's going to be May and Williams on Saturday. But Lloyd might have a big safe in the bench. I think Perry might have a big safe in the bench. Chapman's done well since he came back from injury, but I can't see him ousting Connor Thomas, but he's going to be close to it. So I think the only real decision, just in my opinion, is whether Longy can threaten Raglan or Blair's position. That's the only decision. But there are good options in every area, aren't there? Because you could bring in. We haven't seen him play yet, but Taylor Perry could be. Michael might see him ahead for this game, ahead of Callum Wright, or you just don't know. But yeah, I think that's. I think the 11 there. There'd be no surprises there, would there? If that was the 11 that was picked, with the usual back five, Thomas, Circum, and Wright, and then May and Williams up front. I think that's probably the most likely. But I've been really impressed with Longy in pre-season, and I think he's close.
Yeah. Do you know what? I said it multiple times to you on here last year. I thought I'm so impressed with Longy. I think his versatility is so crucial for this team. You ask him to fit in anywhere across that back five, he's in, and he puts in a performance, and he's solid there. So I think you're right in terms of, does he go with Long? Does he go with Blair? Does he go with Raglan? I don't think you can drop Raglan at all, to be honest with you. I don't think you can drop him. Blair, I think Blair's been good. He's had a great pre-season, so I think he probably will get the nod. And that it's no like down look on what Longy can bring and what he can do. I just don't see that back five that you just named. I don't see it being any different to that. I don't see the midfield being any different. And to be honest with you, I would go with May and Williams as well. That's the only two, plus Circum and Thomas outside of the back five that I've been toying with. I don't see how that can change. I love Lloydie as much as anybody else, but I think the experience alone tells me Andy Williams has to start. He has to start this game, and this is his level. This now, obviously League Two last year, everyone was expecting goals. Didn't quite get it, but he was our leading goal scorer. But nobody set it alight last year for us up there. Everybody contributed. I think this now is Andy Williams' season to go, this is what I've played most of my career at this level. This is what I'm at. This is me. This is my level. And I think he will do it. I did back him at the start of the season. I think he will have a big season this year. And I'm not just saying that because everybody wants to give him unwanted, criticism. I honestly do think this is his turn, and it's May and Williams up top, and I don't think you can change that for right now unless something changes between now and Saturday.
Yeah, Williams said to me just after the title was won, he had a little twinkle in his eye, and he said he had a better goal scoring record in League One than he did in League Two. He's got 7 goals in pre-season, absolutely lethal in pre-season with his finishing. I think he's definitely deserves the chance. Even if there had been a number 9 come in, I think the ones that got Cheltenham there deserve the chance. So I think Williams and May, with Lloyd pushing them both. Ebanks needs to go out on loan, get some senior first team football. So he might be on the bench on Saturday, but when a couple of more strikers come in, I'm sure he'll go out on loan. But you look at the bench, it's going to be the likes of Flinders, Long, if Raglan and Blair get the nod, Chapman, Perry. It's going to be strong, isn't it? There's going to be options from the bench. Lloyd as well.
It's going to be solid.
And Freestone, who's done very well. I mean, I feel harsh for not even considering Freestone because he's come on and he's been good in pre-season, but he's not going to start on Saturday, is he? Unless there's an injury. But he looks ready to me. And he's done very well in certain games last season. So Grant Horton, don't want to leave him out. He's closer. He's bigger. He's been in the gym. He's filled out. He's a big lad. He's mobile. I know how highly Michael Duff rates him. So he's another one that's going to be on the fringes of it this season. But I think that 11 that we named have shown they can give any. They've done well against League One clubs. and that team looks like it give anyone a game, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I didn't mention, but you're probably right there. Freestone and Chapman actually, probably both in the same category as Longy. Just there, but just unfortunately, but it's not unfortunate in the sense of it's probably a good thing to have. You've got players fighting for shirts, and it's about competition, which is probably why Michael Duff wants to bring in a left back, like you said earlier, to challenge Hussey, because that's probably outside the striker. That's probably one area where we haven't got real stiff competition pushing. And I think Freestone and Chapman both fit into that category with Longy. But I agree, mate. You can't change that. I think that starting 11 that we named is probably what's going to come on Saturday, along with the bench that you said. And yeah, Grant Horton as well. I thought he impressed me in pre-season. Looks very different. Looks like
he's filled out, hasn't he? He's working hard. I think he's benefited from his previous loan spells, and must have been difficult for him last season. But he came on in the Cambridge away game and did well. I think he's one that genuine chance of breaking in over the next couple of seasons.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. And it's a good option to have as well, isn't it? Let's be honest. So we've done a bit of Crewe. You mentioned it earlier. I thought we'd give it a little bit of mention. I can't believe it's coming so quick. So Saturday, obviously, away to Crewe. And then Tuesday, another away game. Whoever picks the fixtures at the EFL clearly isn't a Cheltenham Town fan, because we've gone 2 back-to-back away games to start the year. Carabao Cup. Now, this is interesting. Obviously, Bristol Rovers, another one of those teams. Obviously, they've gone down. Unfortunate, that is. They've gone down. But they're obviously, if they'd have stayed up, they'd be a team that we probably put our measuring stick to as much as Crewe, in a sense of they're such a familiar face. It seems like we always play Bristol Rovers. We always play them, So this one on the Tuesday. Do you think with this, I don't want to go too much detail because it's the Carabao Cup. I don't know about you, JP. I'm not overly fussed about this one. Is this the one where we say, right, whoever doesn't start Saturday in the positions we've been discussing, do you believe this will be the one where we might see the changes come in?
Yeah, I don't think he will do the changes that you see in the trophy, for example, where Felix Miles might get a game off from the bench, or all of the young lads will be chucked in. But I think you might see Freestone and Long in, or you might see Chapman or Lloyd in, just because you've got to remember that Blairy missed a couple of games isolating, didn't he? Tozer missed a couple of games. He didn't miss any minutes of last season, and he won't want to miss anything this season. He's captain. I'm sure he'll want to play, but he's just recovered from COVID. Will he want to do Saturday, Tuesday when he hasn't had a 90 minutes since? So I think there might be 1 or 2 tweaks, but I think, and Flinders maybe potentially play, but I don't think he'll put a weakened team out, but he might just freshen it up a little bit. And it's going to be interesting because it was only a couple of years ago, wasn't it? Cheltenham went to Bristol Rovers as the League 2 team against the League 1 team and got thrashed. Yeah. And now Cheltenham go as a high division team, but Duff and Joey Barton are former teammates. You've got Luke Thomas there, former Cheltenham youth team product, who's now on loan there from Barnsley.
Scored a great goal in pre-season.
He scored a Panenka as well, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, great finish.
Yeah. So be interesting again. Have Cheltenham against Walsall. Michael Duff thought that Cheltenham looked like they were a league above in terms of fitness wise and the way they finished the game so strongly. So now against Bristol Rovers in the Cup on Tuesday, it's probably not going to be top of the priorities this season because it's very difficult to make money from it. But it's easier to make money from it this year when you could get a big away draw against a big club and have a decent crowd there. That's obviously a way you can make money, but there's no prize money in this competition. So I think maybe he will just freshen it up ahead of the Wycombe game or give people a chance to stake their claim for the Wycombe game. But it won't be a second string. It won't be a youthful team. It'll be maybe 1 or 2 experienced pros that need a game. We might see Bonds coming on for the last part of the game, maybe to get him some minutes. Obviously, that depends on how the game goes and how he's doing. But from what I hear, everything's progressing well. He's come through his run-outs well so far. So that could be another opportunity. It's going to be very difficult to get him up to 90-minute fitness, isn't it? So maybe this would be an opportunity to get him maybe half an hour or so. I don't know. I don't know what Michael Duff's plans are, but I'm sure we'll see a slightly different 11 Tuesday than we'll see on Saturday.
So what you're saying is he's not going to go full Tom Wade in charge of Cheltenham on Football Manager, just completely change the whole 11. Like
No.
he's not going to do that. No, I
No.
agree. I think whoever doesn't start in goal on Saturday starts this one in goal. I think Blair will come out. Long will come in if he doesn't, whatever one again. Simply because of the fitness level of he missed a bit of pre-season, so obviously I don't think he obviously is going to be in great shape as a professional athlete, but I think he probably could do with a little bit of a rest.
I think he's one of the fittest in the squad, but he did
Yeah.
have to set out a couple of friendlies, so yeah, he might.
Yeah.
Don't know. I think Blairy could run all day, couldn't he? But
Well,
I think I think he might be one of the ones given a breather on Tuesday. I think you're right. Potentially. Potentially.
And I think as much as he'll hate it, I think Toes could come out Freestone in. Only again, he's played 45 minutes, isn't he? In the last couple of games.
Yeah.
45 minutes. Absolute incredible. What he did last year was incredible. Every single game, not missed a minute. And I don't think we'll ever forget that. But I think there's bigger things, like you say, there's bigger things in the Carabao Cup this season, isn't there? So I think that could be one. Again, Chapman, Bonds, all knocking on the door, Lloydie. I think it'll be a bit of a different team, like you say. Probably not a wholesale changes. I think May probably start. I think that's one you can put in. Circum a start, Thomas a start. Yeah, maybe if Chapman doesn't, but I think this one for me on Tuesday isn't a big concern of mine. So I didn't really know where to go with it in terms of when I was doing the prep, because it's just it's weird to me. I just can't stand it. Like, get fixture congestion last season was incredible. Saturday, Tuesday, consistently. I think we had one Tuesday off in about 8-9 weeks. But now I don't see why they've got to do it. And this first week back in, and it's there. I know it's traditional, but surely there could have been something done about it. Where it's like, look, everybody get their first games in, delay it a week, get rid of it. It's no good to anybody, the Carabao Cup, because it doesn't, like you said, you don't get anything from it bar a big tie against a potential big boy, but they don't come in it till late in the rounds, So that's my reasoning between what I'm saying is I think it'll be a different side, and we'll see players that didn't play Saturday play in this one. Again, in terms of prediction, JP, what are you thinking on this? It's hard to call, isn't it? Really and truly, we should go there and show we're a different level. I think, but it's not as just straightforward as that.
No, Cheltenham went to Peterborough and won, which was the first game of last season, wasn't it? Away at Peterborough on a Saturday, which was unusual for a cup game. But I think Rovers will be expected to be up there in League Two this season. So again, it's going to be one of those games where you think, have Cheltenham stepped up against a team now that should be fancied to challenge for promotion straight back to League One. So it'd be good. It'd be interesting to see how they're looking, but they might make changes as well, of course. But because I think the team that Cheltenham put out against Peterborough was a very strong team, but I think Freestone started that game with Boyle on the bench. So just thinking back, whether it was full strength or not, it was definitely strong. But I think Michael Duff almost saw that as an additional pre-season friendly. So I think in terms of prediction, I think if Cheltenham get a win on Saturday, I'd take a win on Saturday over progressing in the Carabao Cup. Let's put it that way. But once Cheltenham get to Rovers and Michael Duff smells, the second round, and potentially, Cheltenham have had some good games in the second round, haven't they, over the years? They've never gone beyond the second round. Knowing Duff, he'll want to get to the third round just to set another record for the club, because he likes doing that, doesn't he? So I think once again, they'll want to win it. And if whoever does go in, whoever is played, will be wanting to say, well, I should be in the team for Wickham as well. So I can't see it being a sort of half-done job. I think Cheltenham, it's very rare that Cheltenham started with 2 wins at the start of a season, of any season. So that'll be very interesting. Last season it was a win at Peterborough and then a defeat by Morecambe at home, wasn't it? So even the National League season started with a couple of draws, ended up on 101 points. Shows you can't read too much into it, but I think the 06-07 was 3 wins in a row at the start of the season, which was brilliant. Swansea, Tranmere, and Port Vale. I think it was 3 wins in a row.
I think we can do it again.
It'd be nice to get back to back, and but 3 points are, in my opinion, a lot more important than a win at Bristol Rovers. But both of them would be nice. Yeah,
I think so too. In terms of score, just to put one out there because I like to do this. 2-0 Cheltenham. I'm going to go.
I'm going to go. So I've gone 2-1 on Saturday. I'll go 1-0. 1-0 Lloyd.
1-0 Lloyd.
At Rovers,
Into this and knocking on the door for the big one, the homecoming on the following Saturday.
Yeah.
That, of course, we will break down. Of course, JP, I think we've been at it an hour now. I think it's a great start to get back into it. Is there anything else that you want to mention or speak about before we do call it a day?
No, just looking forward to it. I think it's, I think Michael Duff did have a little message for the fans this morning, didn't he? I mean, I don't think Cheltenham fans are going to start booing if Cheltenham lose a few games at the start of the season, because they understand what Cheltenham are up against. And I think it's just one to enjoy, savour having this group of players, because some of them could have easily been tempted away by bigger clubs the way they played last season. So I'm just glad that they're all still here. They will be added to, but there hasn't been any heartbreaking departures. You want to see Liam Serkin playing for Cheltenham in League One because he's obviously good enough for the level. Same with a lot of the other lads. So I'm just really pleased that they're all still in the building, and I can't wait to see how they handle it, because I can't see them failing to stand up to the challenge. And even if there are some difficult runs, I think Duff will remain calm and keep them at it. I don't think there'll be any heads down being walked over like there were during the 08-09 season, where you just knew at times that Cheltenham were going to lose every week under Martin Allen. So I think that will never happen under Duff. So I'm quite excited to see how that organisation and spirit they've got, obviously a lot of ability as well, but how that will fare against some proper football clubs now, some proper massive football clubs. I'm just looking forward to it.
Yeah, completely agree. I'm absolutely buzzing. Now we've wrapped this up. That's the last biggest thing. This is the last biggest thing before the season is underway. So I can't wait, and I look forward to getting back into it, getting another season under our belts, and keep progressing. But for the people that are watching on YouTube, as you will see, we have changed the colour scheme this year. It was just a decision I made. Surprised JP with it earlier. I don't think he expected it. But yeah, of course, it ties in with the new away kit in memory of Roger Thorndale. Obviously, 703. It'll never be ever come close to again. So I think it's something that I wanted to do as well. JP agreed. It's a good touch. So that's our tribute to a man that gave a lot to this club, and it's our way of saying thank you and may you rest in peace.
Absolutely right.
But on that note, JP, enjoy the rest of your evening. If anybody's watching that's not subscribed, of course, make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. The people, actually, I will mention, that did enter the retweeter, whoever retweets and Callum Wright signs gets a free away shirt courtesy of me. I will do it. It'll be on Monday night when we launch our brand new fan show. So I'm going to give my wallet a few more days to really come to terms with what it's going to do. But yeah, JP, again, thanks, mate. Appreciate you joining me. I'll see you again next week, and we'll hopefully be talking 2 Cheltenham wins to start what is going to be an incredible season. Everybody, same again next week. Thanks for watching, and as always, come on, you Robins!